as they wave to you. The stars and cars of the Tracy Road Equipment Modifieds will see the green next time. Bye. Kyle Devendorf's car's already in the hauler, so that'll move up the Pennsylvania Jim Whitco alongside Tucker Halliday, and your 25th and final starter will be the 05 of Jesse Morgan. Ladies and gentlemen of the Brewerton Speedway, it's time to grip it and rip it. Here off at turn number 4 on Bayberry Automotive and Jammer Sports Bar night of the races, the Modifieds are green. Smith and Taylor smack rub rail to rub rail right at the start finish line, and Taylor will get the whole shot off of turn 2. Smith up the hill there in turns 3 and 4, and Jeff Taylor will lead lap number 1. So Taylor leads the opening lap. Matt Caprera second, the 15 of Todd Rutan third. It's a 3-car battle for 4th between Wight, the 12 of Smith, and the 28 of Smith. Matt Smith started outside the front row. Dropped quickly to the number 4 spot. His brother Darren right there as well. Car off the pace in turn 2. That is the 44 of Chris Holsizer. Holsizer off the pace down the back chute. That will bring out a Milton Cat caution. So Milton Cat being told he is done for the evening. Coming to the green here, the comfort windows and doors, restart window, it is out, we're underway. Got a car up and around in turn number 1, that is the 9X of Tyler Trump. In the comfort windows and doors firing point, it will be reached. Here we go, once again, we're green. Of Heil off the pace there, and 7 of Payne gets into him a little bit as we have another Milton Cat caution. And that is to the benefit of your leader in the 11th, Darren Smith, top 5. Wight, Mackey, Nick Root, Max Hill, and Sean Beardsley, the top 10 here on the lap 2 restart. Green is out. We're underway once again. Miller goes to the high side, Caprera to the inside. Oh, Matt Smith. Horrible push into turn 1. He just lost 3 spots. Off of turns 3 and 4, Jeff Taylor leads here on lap number 3. Caprera second. Todd Root third. Then it's Darren Smith and Larry Wight, the top 5. Everyone varying levels of speed going into turn 3 and 4. Taylor, Caprera, and Root work the high side, as does Darren Smith. Larry Wight using the bottom of the speedway, the anti-Larry lane. Not used to see Larry catfishing it, but that's what he's doing all the way around the speedway right now in the number 5 spot. Chris Mackey gets by the 28 of Matt Smith for the number 6 spot. Don't look now, here comes Tim Sears Jr. Timmer already up to position number 9. He's starting 15th. Larry rolling the bottom. Only car in the top 10 with the exception of Timmer working the bottom. Everyone else is content to rock the high side. Chad Phelps in trouble. Phelps comes into the pit area. Hot. We see green as he's off of Speedway enough. Here on lap number 7 continues to be Taylor, Caprera, Root, Smith, and Wight. Wight abandons the top side. Now he'll go to the high side. Chris Mackey tries to spot him in 1 and 2. Not enough oomph off the corner as Wight holds on to the number 5 spot. Lap number 9 up on the board continues to be Jeff Taylor over Matt Caprera, Todd Root, Aaron Smith, and Larry Wight. a little further in the pack between Beardsley, Amy Holland, and Jason Parkhurst. As the leaders quickly approaching some lap traffic here. This is the great equalizer. As we got a Milton Cat caution for the 98H of the Beeville Bandit, Jimmy Phelps. He slowed up the top side of turns 1 and 2. Jimmy was running 11th at the time. Mostly around the Speedway. So here we go. Comfort windows and doors, restart window has been reached. We're back underway. Double file restart here on lap 11. And Cabrera on the bottom line just pulled the slider on Taylor. Taylor with a crossover down the bottom of the Speedway. Taylor gonna try to slide Cabrera right back, but Cabrera is there, and off the turn, Matt Cabrera takes the lead on lap number 12. Darren Smith with a slider on the 15 of Todd Root made Root check up. Root just lost 4 spots in the process. What a move by Darren Smith. He's up to 3rd. Smith now works to the bottom, right in front of Wight. Tries the short slider that time. Wight with a better drive off the corner. Now looking to the inside of Smith for 3rd into 3. Smith back up the hill off of turn 4. Wight is there. Smith now shocks the nose on Wight down into turn 1. Wight keeps his foot in it. They both touch off of turn 2. Drag race down the backstretch for the 3 spot. Wight is on the bottom and on the hunt. There in the FX Cabrera Honda number 99. 3 wide for the runner-up spot. As the 11 of Taylor went up the hill. Now the 12 of Smith and the 99 of Wight, 3 wide, and we got a car off the pace in turn 2. Jesse Morgan around. Restart on lap 15. Bit of a slower pace to the restart zone this time. Speed picks up. Green is out. We're back underway. And Taylor is going to move him up the hill and up a slide shot there. Jeff Taylor to the lead. Crossover by Matty Ice. Cabrera will slide him right back into turns 3 and 4. While this is happening, White's pedaling it on the bottom off of turn 4. Cabrera leads lap 16. Taylor tries to slide Cabrera back in 1 and 2 and can. We got a car around in turns 1 and 2. That is the 28 rather, of Matt Smith. Smith got either one of them to capitalize. As is Darren Smith and Tim Sears Jr. Comfort windows, restart window is open. Green is out, we're underway. Matt Cabrera with a strong start way up the hill. 3 wide for 2nd off of turn 2. So Cabrera leads the field into turns 3 and 4. Darren Smith sticks a nose here through the center of turns 3 and 4. Wight with a drive off of turn 2. Larry Wight to the runner-up spot. Oh, Smith backsliding a little bit. Had to get on the binders was the 83X of Tim Sears Jr. A 3 of Chris Mackey from 6 enters the chat. Mackey and Smith duking it out for 4th and 5th. Wight and Taylor, 2nd and 3rd as they run. Wight now going to the Larry lane. He's gonna crack the whip as they're 3 wide for 4th. Sears, Smith, then Mackey having a heck of a battle for the number 4 spot. Still 3 wide into turns 3 and 4. This is fun to watch. Smith up the hill, right in front of Mackey. Sears snuckers a bolt there on the bottom. Matt Troyer TD5 up to the 4 spot. And he's not done. Great run off the bottom of turn 2. Battle for 3rd. Now a good one as Sears licking the tires there on the bottom. He'll take the 3 spots from Taylor at the line. So the 83X of Tim Sears Jr., 15th to 3rd. Here on lap 21. Don't look now, we might have a battle for the lead. Wight has reeled in Cabrera. Down to 0.3 of a second here on lap 22 at 35. Wight will dive to the bottom here off at turn number 4. Cabrera went to central square and back off at turn 4 that time. Wight has cut the difference on the bottom. That 99L's got the car rotating extremely well on the bottom. Cabrera shuts the door, but he missed the bottom. There goes Wight off of 4. Larry Wight takes the lead on lap 24. Cabrera missed the bottom trying to take Wight's lane away, and Wight made him pay. Larry the lead on lap 24. So Wight, your new leader. Cabrera to second, Timmer up to third, Darren Smith back to fourth, Jeff Taylor in fifth. And now Tim Sears Jr. applying the pressure to Matt Cabrera. Timmer on the bottom, gets by Cabrera down the backstretch. Timmer, 15th to second, here on lap 26. Good battle for the 4 spot still as Smith and Taylor battling it out for position. As Taylor way up the high side in turn 4, trying to get by a lap car down the front stretch. And Wight immediately back to the bottom here on lap 27, make it 28. Wight by 1.4 over Sears, Cabrera, Smith, and Taylor. 2 different lines at work in 1 and 2. 3 and 4, they're both catfishing it. Wight and Sears to the bottom in 1 and 2. Wight goes topside hustling in turns 1 and 2. Timmer electing the bottom. Then 3 and 4, they both back to the bottom. Now lap traffic a factor. Flat right front tire for Dylan Zacharias. We stay green and we have 5 laps to go. Wight got slowed up by a lap car. Sears now 1.3 to Wight. And we got lap cars making contact with your leaders quickly approaching in turn 1. Larry Wight up on the high side. Now he'll dive to the bottom in turns 3 and 4. Lap 32 this time, and a lap car between Wight and Sears here on lap 32. Wight will go back to the bottom here in turns 1 and 2. Sears, he'll rip the top this time. Sears again to the high side in turns 3 and 4. Wight to the bottom. We have 2 laps to go. 2 more circuits around. Wight now to the high side. Sears will try the slider on Morgan, the lapper. And that hurts Sears a little bit as we're to the money lap. Lap 34 of 35. Wight started 5th. Ran every inch of the racetrack, mostly on the bottom tonight. A 2021 Bignell, formerly owned by Tim Kerr. Wight bought it over the week and parks it in the lane tonight. Sears comes home 2nd from 15. 3rd will be Matt Cabrera, 4th to Darren Smith, 5th to Jeff Taylor.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Monday Night Modifieds with Matt and Mike. I'm Mike Mallett, my co-host Matt Smith. Just snuck it in, Matty. How did first off, I got to ask, how did the dentist go, buddy? How was the dentist? You all good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Everything check. They check it out. Everything good?
Yep. Can't get any uglier. So
I would make a joke about Jack Hughes, but you have no idea what I'm talking about if I say that. So it doesn't even matter.
Nope. Don't know who that is.
See, okay, now to start this show for our American friends, if you were up yesterday morning at 8 a.m., obviously the Team USA was on the prowl yesterday, picking up the gold medal in hockey, and I did wear this. I'm a Devils fan, so Jack Hughes plays for the Devils, scored the game-winning goal for America, and I put the American flag up behind me in honor of Team USA Gold. I know you give zero craps about hockey or any sports other than racing, but I'm going to celebrate a little bit as a hockey fan and a Devils fan.
I think I did see. Is that the guy that had like half a tooth?
Yeah,
that was going around all the social media.
Yeah, he got whacked in the face about 5 minutes or 8 minutes before that goal, and he took one to the face for the team, for America.
He had that really Christmas look going on.
Oh yeah, but it wasn't intentional. He just took a stick to the face, and that's what happens. That's what happens. So obviously, this week's show we got a big one for you. Of course, Larry Wight going to join us, and I love that Larry's punctual. Larry's here. He's down there. And he's ready to go, so we'll get him here in a moment. Again, everybody kind of commenting here on Team USA winning. I thought Mike was a history teacher for a second. Yes, I am a history teacher. Again, hence the flag in the background. Don't worry, I still got the race cars over the other shoulder, but I had to represent Team USA here tonight just to celebrate that a little bit. Again, I got my butt up at 8 a.m. or 7:45 a.m. on a Sunday. I don't do that for anything, including racing. But gold medal games, you got to be there for them.
Yeah, if you're up that early, it's because you were up all night long. You didn't go to bed.
Usually, if I'm up that early, it's because I didn't go to bed. You are correct on that. You're correct on that. What are you drinking over there? Celsius?
No, it's a tea.
Iced tea. Look at you. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, hockey players send their kids, dentist kids to college. Yes, they do. Yeah, dentists make money off hockey players. There's no doubt there. That's definitely a thing. But Maddie, you missed a good one, man. I know, again, you're not a football hockey guy, but what a cool game. And again, winning in overtime. The women won in overtime on Saturday. Or Friday. Was it Friday? Maybe it was Friday.
I did see that. Taylor had the
or Thursday. The women won Thursday. There it is. I mean, my week blurred together. I was on the beach at Daytona or Ormond all week, so it was a fun week for me. Let's just put it that way. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have any modified racing this weekend, which we don't have any modified racing until March 13th and 14th. But we did have some other racing. Did you take in any of the action this weekend? I know I watched myself some East Coast Dirt Nationals at Trenton. I watched Hendry County. I watched the Lucas Oil Late Models, and I also made briefly a little ASCS. Nothing crazy there though.
Yeah, I watched. I'm a late model guy, as you know. I watched the Hendry stuff and the Lucas stuff at Alltech, and yeah, I mean, like we were talking earlier, the stuff at Hendry was kind of a little shade of what Thunder used to be before they resurfaced, and then that the racing at Alltech was really, really good. So
it's what you expect out of Alltech. I mean, multiple lanes, multiple grooves. I mean, the last night was obviously guys running the Larry lane there, running up there on the top side, hammering the wall. Hudson O'Neill getting the win. The other night, Shepard and Devin Moran. Devin Moran, I want to say, put a hammering on him.
Yeah, he won by 8 seconds, I think.
Yeah, just kicked their ass. I mean, he was that good. The races at Hendry County were phenomenal. With the first night was Bobby Pierce getting the win. Then it was Nick Hoffman coming back. So I thought that was a impressive debut at Hendry County. I did find it funny that they call the place, like the nickname of the place is the Sand Pit. Like, I don't know if that's a good nickname for a racetrack. Like, I don't know. I mean, the racing was good, so I guess you can't complain. But the Sand Pit, is that the best they got?
I don't know. I mean, you don't give me very good nicknames. But, no, I don't know. It like you said, the racing was really good there. It's kind of cool to see, Bobby Pierce and Nick Hoffman, dicing it up front. And, I think just, with the world of outlaws right now, everybody is so competitive, but you see Nick Hoffman kind of giving Pierce a run for his money. That's pretty cool to watch. It's
pretty good early in the season. They got a pretty good little battle going. The only thing that disappoints me about them is, they got 8 races in Florida. I think they had 6 races at Volusia and then 2 at Hendry County, but they're only counting 5 of them. Like, I get the Volusia stuff. You kind of count a couple of them, but why are we not, like, Hendry County, the season has started. Why are those not counting as full point shows? That was the one thing I didn't get.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really understand that either. Doesn't really make too much sense, but hey, we're not down there with them. So
Yeah, right. Well, I don't make the rules, and I don't have any say in it. I was just at, I just found that interesting that that's what they do, and I know the Lucas used to kind of do the same thing with East Bay, right? With all the races you ran at East Bay, I want to say
Yeah,
they
I
took
think
your
the
best
last
two.
two.
Yeah, your best two out of the four, or only two counted for points. The other two were kind of you're there, you're racing, you're having fun. So that was kind of the racing action we got to this weekend. Like I said, indoor racing, our modified guys did not have a good weekend at the East Coast Dirt Nationals. Anthony Perego, Eric Rudolph, both guys that won former winners of it. This year, the best modified representation was Timmy Buckwalter. Used a provisional, did finish ninth. And then David Schilling, modified guy from the Capital District, did get 21st. And Anthony Perego, I will say this, my favorite thing about just mentioning Anthony Prego, that he's back in a race car after what happened down at Alltech. So it was good to see him back in the car. Had a tough night. He did get over on his side, he was part of the flip counter, and he finished 22nd. TVD was a DNQ. But overall, I mean, good. I know you probably didn't watch any of that. That was early Saturday. I was kind of lucky. I spaced it out Saturday. I watched the East Coast Dirt Nationals. I flipped over, and it just happened to be the start of the World of Outlaw late model feature. And just as the World of Outlaw late models got done, Lucas Oil was going with their feature. So I kind of piggybacked everything and was able to watch everything. Now, I could have just stayed in Florida for another couple of days and watched Alltech, but with the weather up here, we originally scheduled to go to Hendry County. We had talked about it on Friday night, but we kind of decided adding 7 hours of driving to a 18-hour ride home was not something we wanted to do.
Yeah. I gotta go back to that indoor race you were talking about. So one of the guys that you mentioned, that Tim Buckwalter, he's like one of the guys that slides under the radar up here in the Northeast. Like that guy, he races. He's the one that goes to Chili Bowl, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So he's pretty good in the modified. You see him run sprint car stuff and micros.
Well, let's see. It's Tim. Tim runs. Let's see. Tim runs a modified at Grandview. Or excuse me, Big Diamond. I want to say he does some of the
stuff too.
He does some of the speedster stuff, but he's got a brother Steve that used to run 410s. Now you're making me wonder which one of them actually runs the Chili Bowl. I'm sure somebody will tell us, and let us know. But I can't remember which one. I think it's Steve that runs the Chili Bowl. I gotta check my my stats here. I'll take a look, and as we chat here, I'll get back to you. Craig Holly, I'm your hero, Mallett. You got to get better heroes, buddy. If I'm your hero, okay. Steve and Jason Van Doren said Tim and Steve both too. Okay, all right. Thank you guys. I knew somebody would know without me having to look it up. I literally typed in chilibowl.com and then you guys are already on it. So I appreciate you guys. Steve is a cousin of Timmy, so there we go. All right, so we got it all covered. That's perfect. That's perfect.
I know a little bit about sprint cars. Yeah,
not that much.
Not that much.
Well, look, we have our special guest sitting in. Do you want to bring him in here early and we normally wait till about 7:15, but we can get him in here. He's worth getting the extra time tonight. So let's see. Hey, Larry, you ready to go there, buddy?
Yeah, already.
How's it going, my man? You got to be on cloud nine here still. It's been a pretty good couple of weeks for you.
Yeah, it's been real good. We're definitely still soaking it in. It was a great couple of weeks. Alltech was amazing, the streak we had there, and we lacked a little bit of speed of Volusia, but we gathered it up by the end of the week.
Hey, the one you want to make sure you win is the one at the end of the week. That's the one that pays the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about Alltech. I mean, 3 wins, 3 races. I don't think, and again, this is no offense to you, but just based on the struggles the past couple of years, I don't think anybody kind of had that on the radar. I mean, you've always been decent at Alltech, but to come out and just do what you were able to do at Alltech, starting 4th the first night, jumping to the lead, then starting dead last and getting a torn up race car to the win. And then the last night, kind of getting the luck of the draw, putting you up front there, making it not easy, but making it a lot easier on yourself.
Yeah, Alltech's just always been one of those tracks that even if we're not running good up here, we always run good at Alltech. We've got a package that's just always worked good there, and it didn't really seem to matter if we had a Troyer or Bicknell. We always were able to put a good couple nights down together down there, and a lot of it's just my guys not letting me mess with that package. It's just leave it alone. It works, and it's up to me to make up for anything we're short on. And, Alltech's just one of those tracks where you got to be able to turn. and you got to trust the car's going to turn so you can enter right. It's you see a lot of those tracks where you kind of got to overcharge the corner to get the right side tires to stick. And if you try to just float it in there, feel like you're on ice skates. So then you back it up more and more and more. And, I felt real confident, so I could just rifle it in there. And I felt like, I'd gain 5 cars on entry. And if I lost one, I still gained 4 through the corner.
Mm-hmm. It seemed like, the guys that don't want to go up there, it's like more of a confidence thing than anything. Like, obviously you need good stuff to have confidence to steer up there. But, obviously there wasn't very many between you and TVD, I think, are the only ones that really made it work up there. But, I think, when you get them guys hub sucking that, they don't know if their stuff's going to steer, if they don't really want to try it. I mean, it's a big speed difference. Watching those late model guys, you hear them talk about, we went up there and gained a second, but if you missed it, you lost a second. I mean, that's a pretty big swing right there. And it definitely makes it seem like there's a huge speed difference there when guys hit it and miss it.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, the new clay made it that much better, because it used to be the old clay, everyone would get running the tires, and that's what would clean off and then rubber up. Where this new stuff, it had 0 abrasion whatsoever. And so when those guys would all be running the bottom, they'd be kind of throwing crumbs across, and it would almost bring the top half of the track back to life, to where no one else would go up there. And I'm just kind of running on everyone's crumbs, and there was a lot of traction to be had. So it allowed me to move around from middle to top and not have to worry about running the bottom. But we were still good enough, if we had to, we could go to the bottom for a couple laps, float the middle. The car was just extremely neutral to where it could go anywhere and be happy.
Yeah, I remember seeing the mods, with the how the guys that were running the bottom throwing them crumbs up, you could see where it would bring a line or two back in. And then it seemed like Thursday, when the late models were there, that was extremely exaggerated to where it was bottom dominant, and then guys had no choice but to run in the top or the middle. And then you saw, I think it was maybe Moran that almost gave Shepard a run for his money there at the end of that race with the second line that got cleaned in after them crumbs got packed in.
Yeah. And Alltech's it's so hard when you're out leading, especially if you're not into lap traffic, to know what the track's doing, because it changes so drastically. I mean, in 5 laps, one lane or the other can pick up half a second, or the other one can drop a half second. And if you're out there leading, you've got really no idea what's going on. So like when you're in lap traffic, you can kind of see the lap cars. All right, I've been running the top and I'm not gaining on them as much as I was. So then you can change up the line and kind of see where the track's going. But when you're in clean air, it's tough to know what's really going on.
Right. Yeah, you can, like I said earlier, it's definitely exaggerated there when guys hit it and when they miss it.
I think that's the coolest part about Alltech. Like, you can watch a guy get one lap, get a huge run and pass 2 cars, and then the next corner miss it by that much, and then you're going backwards. You're losing those spots you gained. So I thought that's one of my favorite parts about Alltech. It's so inconsistent. If you make a mistake, it punishes you for mistakes. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, it's really tough to be consistent there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely a hidden gem there. It's kind of off the beaten path. You wouldn't think there'd be a racetrack over there. And, Wendell's done an amazing job just putting some new life into that place, the backstretch camping and just really sprucing it up. And, hopefully everyone that watches all the races that are down there are seeing it. And, he's getting, I think he had the best crowd that he's ever had for the modifieds. So, if he's making money, he's going to bring us back. So that's, we just need to put more fans in the stands for the promoters, and whatever way we got to do that to make a show for them.
I will say, I was talking to everybody down there, hearing the crowd on Saturday when you drove from 24th to the lead and to the win. I mean, you had fans that don't give a crap about modifieds cheering, and that's got to be cool for you. A cool feeling down there in Victory Lane.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If I win a race up here, it's 3/4 of the stands are booing me at our home track. So it was a nice change to have people cheering, and it's where we're kind of stuck in the Northeast. So anytime we can go out of town to a track where people aren't familiar with us and put a show on, that's what we want to do. We don't want to put on a snooze fest and, it's single file racing and no one can step out of line to make anything happen. There's a lot of times we get stuck at tracks. Like I look at Eldora. Every time we went to Eldora that I've been fortunate enough to race at, it was with the Craftsman trucks or whatever they call them now, the NASCAR trucks. And that wasn't Eldora. It was like racing on concrete, complete dust bowl, because it had to be smooth for them. So we didn't get the real Eldora. And, we kind of put on a snooze fest for anyone watching. They're like, wow, these things suck. So, I'd love to get an opportunity to go back to Eldora and maybe race with the UMPs or sprint cars or late models, get a real Eldora track so we can show everyone in the country what dirt modified, Northeast modifieds are all about.
Well, if the schedule holds, it's probably about 5 years, 4 to 5 years, I'd assume, because I think it's about every 10. It's about every 10 years we get to go to Eldora. And I was at Eldora for those. I would agree with you. I mean, it sucks that you're with the trucks, which is really cool because that brings a big crowd to Eldora, but you're also on a racetrack that's not really conducive to having good racing for our guys because there's nothing left. I mean, it was as burned off, shiny as you can get a racetrack. And that's saying something for me, considering I'm from New York.
Yeah. And it's like, we couldn't run the wall because it was way too dirty. And like the race Whitaker won, I mean, it was a complete dust storm. As soon as they dropped the green, second on back had no idea where the hell they were. They were just floating around.
I think Billy's still sitting in victory lane from that, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So let's switch on over to Volusia. I mean, look, you're disappointed with those results, but again, you get in the win the last night. You look at your week. You ran 7 features, 4 wins, 5 top 5s, 6 top 10s. I mean, I think if I had told you that before you went to Florida that it was going to be that good of a week, you probably wouldn't be disappointed. But after how you started at Alltech, not kind of winning those first couple at Volusia, obviously you're a little disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, the first night we were running third. I was just way too tight, but I was able to make it work. And we just had that last restart where just kind of got stuck in the middle. You really didn't want to start third on back on the bottom. Like, it was just so hard to get the run down the front stretch there. You really wanted to be on the outside row. And we kind of just got hung out to dry. Just too tight to make anything happen, and slid back to 6th there. And then the next night, definitely I handed that one to Matt, just last restart, and I should have went to the top and kind of tried to do the slider line, hit the hole, and lost all my momentum. And then the third night there, I think we really just chalked it up. I think we had a bad tire. We tried changing the right rear. It didn't really help, and maybe it was the left rear car just wasn't into the track like it had been. And then the final night, we didn't change anything from the night before, just bolted another set of tires on it, and the thing was right back to where it was.
And obviously the track Saturday was more of a you got to run the Larry lane a little bit more. I mean, that was hammered down. I mean, that was a little hairy, based on how high you guys run. I mean, I sat off at turn 2 watching those features. I mean, you were coming by at the wall. I mean, it looked like Alltech all over again. Yeah,
that's old school Volusia there. I mean, that's how it used to be every night, before COVID. We'd be right up against the wall, just trying to find any bit of traction. And it's really hard for the track crew by the time we get there, because there's so much racing going on, and you can only pound the snot out of a track so many nights in a row before you start losing your base layer of moisture. So they're forced to kind of overwater it. We're running in slime and slop at the beginning of the night, but that's the only way we're going to have a track by the end of the night. We were talking, I was talking with Dean, it'd be really nice if you could kind of break it up and maybe have a night off to let the track reset, let the track guys do what they need to do to maybe fix some of the holes. But when you're running, I think 3 weeks straight, they had 1 rain out for the sprint cars. It's really hard to keep the track up to where it needs to be. Without
pretty impressive with all the racing they do on it to be able to keep it the way they do. Because I mean, I think there might have been 1 or 2 nights where there might have been a hole. I mean, just what I could see on TV that was pretty catastrophic. But other than that, it was pretty good. You know what I mean? Even with a couple weeks before that, they were racing on it.
Yeah, and it's our cars are really hard on tracks. The way we're just so right rear dominant, just laying in on entry. If there's any kind of a hole starting, we're gonna just hog it out, and then the late models, once we start the hole, their noses dig it out a little bit more, and it's near impossible for those guys that we get done at 11:30 to try and fix that hole between 11:30 and noon the next day before they have to start tightening everything back up, and they got to sleep at some point too.
Right.
Let's talk the the big thing. A lot of people ask the 2021s. That has been the topic of discussion. We've had questions on here last week. People were asking questions about your Florida. What do you feel is the difference? Like what makes that car feel so much better to you versus say the newer stuff that guys run?
I think a lot of it is honestly just the steel. It's when COVID hit, supposedly Bicknell bought enough steel to build 600 race cars. And so that 21 is still within that realm of pre-COVID steel. And, if you look, it's about every 8 years or so, there's a big boom in scrap metal. Scrap prices go through the roof. You can't get it there fast enough. Well, we run 1020 DOM steel. It is probably the cheapest mild steel you could possibly get. So it's going to have the most fillers in it. Mm-hmm. And I think at some point there's not enough true steel in it. And there's so many fillers of, old cars and everything they scrap to where something changed in the way it flexes, whether it's softer or stiffer. I'm not really sure, but I know the 21 cars, I can bolt my 2020, 21, 22 package that we won a ton of races with, and the car feels identical. Mm-hmm. And from hot laps to time trials to heat race, my change is maybe a round and a half out of the right rear and maybe put a packer in the right front bump stop. Like, it's very minute changes, and I can actually feel it, where the newer cars really 24 on, like, we were just having to throw the kitchen sink at it, huge coil changes, huge stagger changes, and the cars just kind of felt numb. So we just couldn't find anything that was consistent. We go to Brewerton one night, finish second, come back the next week with the same exact setup and barely get into the top 10. And, once we found that Kerr car and took that to Brewerton, we won the first night, and I don't think we finished out of the top 3 the rest of the season. Ended up salvaging a second in points somehow. Then we went to Dirt Week. The thing was awesome. My small block car, that's a 21 that I've had since it was brand new, and I think things got like 70 races on it, and we just keep welding it back together, and we finished in the top 3 at the 200, I think 3 or 4 times with it. The car just doesn't stop.
What's the plan when the 21s are lapped out? I mean, I don't really know how to ask the question, but you know what I mean? Like, at what point do you say, all right, we got to try something else, or get a new car, or maybe pull one out of the weeds?
Yeah. So I got 3 of them, and, we just got to run them until they quit. I know Williamson's been saying, if they're that special, I wouldn't be running them as hard as Larry, but it's like, I don't show up to run 5th. We show up to win races, and even if that car's special, like, if it's not in victory lane, the sponsors don't like it, the crowd doesn't like it, so you got to run that thing as hard as you can every time. And when she finally quits, we'll start replacing bars and trying to get it back to where it's supposed to be. But yeah, it's a tough position I'm in. I know guys are making the new cars work, and everything I did to them, I couldn't get them to work worth a hell. And I'm not about swapping frames every 5 races. It's just way too much work to try and swap them and then go to the next race not knowing what you got. I like to know that when I unload, we're going to be fast out of the trailer, because in today's world, the difference between pole and 15th is maybe a 10th and a half at most series races. Like it's tightened right up.
What's the plan to find more? I mean, have you been digging to find more of these? Is this like you on the phone all the time, like calling Gary's You Pull It, trying to find cars, or what?
No, we got the 3 and we think we're good right now, and looking at some other avenues to try and bridge that gap. It's I've built my own cars back in the day, and maybe I got to look at that again, of trying to manipulate and copy what we have that's working. We got the pull down rig, and we got some smart people in our corner, so hopefully we can find something. Maybe by then Randy and Bobby will get something figured out, and they can hopefully get the steel back to what it used to be. I know they'll never tell you it's different, but it's just got to kind of wait and see. Can't get too anxious about it.
Gotcha. Hey, I know you said you had some smart people in your corner. I couldn't help but notice that Rumley sticker on your deck. What's the word with that?
I've been friends with Kevin for quite some time now, and I've always tried to get him to come to some modified races. And when he was working for Bill Stein and Longhorn at the same time, he was just so busy. We'd just kind of chat back and forth. And now that he's strictly working for Longhorn, it kind of freed him up. And so whenever we're racing with the late models, he comes down and hangs out. Like, he was camping right in front of our hauler at Volusia, and him and Jacqueline were coming down, hanging out every night. And they're just great people to hang out with. I bust his balls when he's going to let me run the 6 car. Now that Larson's on it, now Hudson's really tearing it up, so I got to wait for my opportunity on that one.
So you're just a nice guy. Put the sticker on there. No help there. No backdoor side.
No, he helps out, like consulting with shocks and different suspension, mainly on like the springs and spring rubbers, and how to get the right curves, and just that small tweak stuff that I was really struggling once the track slicked off, of how much is too much and how little is too little. Just trying to fine tune that sweet spot of making the right change at the right time. And he's been awesome. The guy's got a wealth of knowledge. First thing he said, he goes, "Whatever I tell you, I know nothing about your cars, so it is a complete shot in the dark." And some of the stuff, it didn't work at all, and then there's other stuff it's like, holy, there's something there. So it's just a friendship, and he's been helping us out the last couple of years while we were struggling there, and now we're just kind of getting that whole package put back together.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool deal.
Now, you had some other changes in the offseason. You got the older cars. You also had a little change in the motor department. We had somebody asked if you're running Vic Hill engines. We know you tried that, I believe. And then just talk about the changes there to your program with, realigning kind of the motor program. You ran some different stuff, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, so down in Florida, we ran a WLR performance engine. Rob Heil, my dad just kind of lost interest in racing. It didn't help with the way I was running and everything, but he's going to be 77 this year. Kind of just wanted to back off a little bit. And so my wife and I, we kind of rebranded the race team, took everything over ourselves as WLR, White Lightning Racing. And then the engine shop was kind of a package deal, take it all or don't take any of it. So, we had some different views of how we wanted to run the engine shop with the current management, and it just wasn't lining up. And so we got the Vic Hills last year, sent one of my small blocks down. He went through it, changed some stuff on it. and we put it in for the Outlaw, and it was like a fresh new life. I mean, the thing ran awesome, put us right back into the top 3. We went to Oswego with it, right back up. You know, we almost had a top 5 there. We were in contention, I think, for a win, just didn't quite work out. I think we weren't quite aggressive on the pit stop to get a car where it needed to be, and I think everyone else got a little bit more aggressive than us. But we were in the hunt, and you know, Jason and Vic, those guys down there are great to work with. They've actually got one of my other small block down there that they're going through, so we got 2 of them, and then we've got the big block. We tried it at Charlotte, and it was nothing that they did. We tried a new set of heads, and they just didn't work. You know, they were, I think they were a little too big for the cubic inch we run. It was more of like a drag racing style head, and we thought it would work good on the big track, and just didn't restart good until you got it wound up. So sent that back to them, put a set of the G2 Mike's heads on it, and we planned on running it Volusia, but it was hard to change anything up with that car after Alltech. So we said, screw it, we're just going to leave it in, and went from there. And, you know, we were probably down on power maybe at the beginning of the night a little bit when it was hammered down, but that combination that we had there, it's I think the motor's 8 or 9 years old, and it goes good everywhere. I think I've won 6 races at Volusia with it. We've won a handful at Brewerton, Fulton, you name it, at Albany, Saratoga, Canandaigua, Weedsport. You know, it's just a good all-around engine package. And you know, now we got Rob on board, and he's running the show. You know, that guy is the most meticulous, you know, person you can even think of meeting. I mean, you walk through that engine shop now and you can eat off the floor. Like, he's just went through, cleaned house, got everything up to snuff. And, you know, we got some guys bringing their stuff back. A lot of people didn't realize we were open to customer work. And I went around talking to guys at Alltech and Volusia, let them know we were open for business, new engines, rebuilds, whatever we got. Block Lightning, we're doing that again for outside engine builders. And just kind of hitting the reset button on it with the best person I could think to run the shop for me.
That was going to be my next question. Like, what do you plan on doing? But obviously, you answered that for us. So we do have some. So we do have some fan questions coming in. We got Richard here that said, "Congratulations on your great Florida run. Are you running most of the Super Dirt Car Series races? What's your plans for weekly racing? Are you going to run? And what about the series, etc.?"
So we'll definitely be at Brewerton weekly. Saturdays will more than likely be at Fulton, but we might bounce around a little bit on Saturdays, maybe hit Canandaigua or some other tracks. And the series, we'd love to run the series. We're not 100% confirmed that we're going to do it yet. With work at Big Red Towing, you know, it's really hard to kind of leave those guys hanging. Obviously during the summer, we're not near as busy as we are in the winter. But it's tough because I love what I do. I enjoy working in the shop, running tow trucks on the road. And so it's kind of hard for me to leave my buddies high and dry while I go play, just mentally. And, you know, we had to restructure everything. So it's my wife and I running the checkbook now. And so, you know, just trying to figure out travel expenses, you know, if we got to put guys in rooms, you know, just all of that stuff that every team has to deal with. And, you know, we're looking for a main sponsor to come aboard, and it would definitely help that burden. You know, like the only way in racing you make a small fortune is to start with a big one. And that's kind of how it is. And so we're just trying to be smart about it. You know, Jake and Cole are helping Rob in the engine shop, so I don't want to leave Rob shorthanded. If we're doing, you know, 85 races a year, you know, we need to focus on what's bringing money into the door. We got to have really good customer support. It's the only way you can run a business. So if my racing has to take a little bit of a back burner until we get everything jiving, and then hit it hard next year or the year after, then that's what we're going to have to do. But as of right now, we're definitely looking at running the series. The Super Dirt Car Series definitely would be our only option. And then or we kind of look at going the Davenport route of just hit the big shows that are close to you, rather than trucking all the way out to Ohio or Delaware. Go over to Utica on the Sunday big block races and just hit the money shows.
How you talk about having a full-time job and all that. How difficult is it? I mean, you look at the series, there's probably 4 or 5 guys at most doing it full-time. That's all they're doing. So what's that kind of pressure that put on you when you mentioned you got to go to Delaware, you got to go to Ohio. How tough is it to arrange that schedule and to do those things? I mean, you're kind of going through it right now. We're looking at that, but how tough is it for a working guy to do that?
Oh, it's an absolute nightmare. It's really hard to juggle both work and racing, and then throw family into that too. You really have to have a good crew of guys at work. Like if you're, like I'm a business owner, so I've got people in place that if I'm not there, hopefully everything goes like I never left. And I'm fortunate enough at Big Red to where I've got guys that have been there 15, 17 years. So they know day-to-day operations. My phone's not blowing up all the way to the track during hot laps and all the way home. So I'm extremely fortunate to have guys like that, Chris and Brian and Morgan and all the guys in the shop, and our operators are awesome guys. We've got an awesome crew there, and it definitely eases that burden, but it's just it seems to be every time I'm gone is when we have that huge recovery where we need 4 trucks on it, and trying to get guys to run the big stuff, it's tough because they don't have the experience, or you don't want to see someone get hurt. So it's definitely challenging. Like there's a lot of guys that are business owners that try doing this stuff, and they'll say the same thing. It's you don't ever get that relaxation of going to the track, and we do this for fun. It makes it not fun because you're constantly working and trying to race, and then wondering why you're not racing good because your mind's not in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to recognize that, like you said, but I definitely have to prioritize the work. Like, there's a couple times this year where I was really pushing it to get there for hot laps, and if it doesn't happen, it's it is what it is. We're not, like you and I, we're not committed to the Super Dirt Series. We're not, if we miss a night of weekly racing, so be it. Like you said, it's all for fun. I think a lot of people get that misconstrued sometimes, that we, our first obligation is work. We really want to be at the racetrack, but if it doesn't happen, it's not because we don't want to be there. We just got other stuff we got going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And the girls are getting older, and they want to go camping on the weekend. They want to go do something different than racing, which I don't blame them. Growing up, I didn't have an option. We were going to the racetrack since I was 5 years old. So it was either jump on or jump off. And I've kind of lived through it, but I see their side of it too, where, they're doing gymnastics, jiu-jitsu, competitions. My brother-in-law Scotty's graduation's on a Friday this year, so we're gonna miss one night at Brewerton no matter what. Got to go support the family that supports you, and the series. It's tough to kind of write off every summer activity that you possibly could think of just to follow that series. And we've always asked. I know Jimmy and I have always asked, like, why can't we have like 2 drop races? Like, you guys are talking about it with the Florida deal with the World of Outlaws and Lucas Oil. They always had like 3 drop nights out of 6 races. And I think that was purely just to keep people on their series, to where if they had a couple bad nights down there, their points weren't shot for the rest of the year, or at least they didn't feel like they were. So it kind of kept them on board for a little bit longer, just to get them out of that speed week, because that can either kill you, or you can come out smelling like a rose. I remember Volusia one year, Josh Richards, I think he won like 6 out of the 9 races, and he blew an engine up every single night. Like, just grenaded him. You could smell the antifreeze the last 5 laps of the race.
But he won.
Yep.
Totally paid for that. Totally paid for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What, you mentioned the girls. Are they going to do some racing? I know you kind of had a little bit of that going on.
Yeah, they're bouncing in and out of it. Audrey definitely has more of a drive than Amelia did. I mean, she's just turned 5, so she still doesn't know what she wants to do. But they're having a lot of fun doing the gymnastics and jiu-jitsu stuff. And, I told them if you want to do that, and when you're 14, you decide you want to jump in a sportsman, we'll put a sportsman together. Like, I'm not going to pressure them in any way, shape, or form. I know a lot of, even NASCAR guys that they shoved it right down their kids' throats. And then by the time they turned 16, you never saw them again because they couldn't handle it. Like the pressure of just going out and racing go-karts was just crazy. And, when we go to the track, we park in the farthest corner away from everyone because I don't want to be anywhere near the parents fighting or nothing. And the go-kart deal is, I didn't realize how bad the tire game was with tire prep and, washing the tires after every race, seeing what everyone else is using for prep. And I mean, that was
that car stuff is crazy.
Oh, it's horrible. I mean,
I'm not going to say who I was around, but we pulled into Weesport that weekend after the race at Utica with the big block. And it was like guy, they're all prepping tires over there. And it's like, what are you doing that for? It's, they're kids, let them race.
Oh yeah. And it's a matter of a full second off the pace if you don't put the right prep on. It is absolutely insane. And that's why I really enjoyed going to Millbridge. We got Audrey an outlaw cart, and we've only been down there once, but I wish that place was closer because you're not allowed to do anything to the tires. You buy them from the track, you mount them in front of the tech inspector. You're not allowed to wash them all night. You come off from either the B main or the feature, whatever your last race was. You wash them in a tub in front of them, no soap, and then they go into a storage container, and next time you come to race, you go get your tires. Like, you can't sand them, sipe them, nothing. And if you get caught cheating your tires, you're out for a year.
Oh, that'll do it. That's one way to control it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt there. All right, so we've got some fan questions in. Our buddy Damon loves Thunder Mountain, so we'll ask you 2 questions here. We have Damon asking, what's your thoughts on Thunder Mountains? Then our buddy Neil asked, would you go to the Monster Bash? Hey, I'll ask. I'm a shameless plug for my own race at the end of the year if you're not running the series. So there's a couple questions on Thunder Mountain.
Yeah, I mean, I like Thunder Mountain. Back on the old surface, we went down and ran a couple races. I think we won the spec head and the open race the same night. And, I didn't mind it when it was the old surface because it used to build kind of it wasn't a cushion. It was more like a pillow, like a dust pillow that you can lean against.
It was just like Hendry the other night. Mallett and I were talking about it before they got the new surface. You couldn't
lean on it, but you could ride it.
Yeah.
In the new surface, I think it's definitely better as far as the dust, but I'd really like to see Carl, maybe get a tiller and just loosen it up a little bit. I think if he put a little bit of moisture into it and could figure out, the formula, every track's got its own formula of how much is too much and how much gives you a little bit of a curve, but not top dominant. I think the track could definitely race a lot better if it had a cushion and then still had some moisture down at the bottom. It definitely produced a slider line the way the corners are. They're wide enough for it. But yeah, I mean, if I had any pet peeves, like, just needs a little bit more water down in.
For the record, we had a cushion one week, and I think Matt won, and it's the one week he didn't run the cushion. Every other week he runs the cushion. We actually have a cushion, like legit cushion, and he's sucking the paint off the tires.
Listen, I didn't need to be up there. It was tall enough where I didn't have to use it.
Yeah,
that night it didn't really widen out that much, and I'm honestly glad I didn't. There was times where there was a little bit of a cushion getting in, and I shredded a right rear tire. So I didn't want to. Had a little PTSD. I didn't want to go up there, and, shred a tire. I was all right on the bottom. But,
Yeah,
almost lost it on the last lap with Tommy Collins running the cushion.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed every time we went to Thunder Mountain. It was just, we were always racing somewhere and never got down there. I mean, I think we went down for the Pinnacle of Power race as kind of like a tune-up before the series race a couple of years ago. And, we had a great time. It was a great race. We brought a big block and probably should have brought a 420, but we wanted to see what the big block would do. And, as far as the Monster Bash, if it's open, we're definitely going to be coming down.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so more questions from the fans because this is a fan show, Larry. So we take these. So Cody Decker asks, who is the greatest dirt modified driver of all time? I think he asks every guest we have this question. So who's the greatest dirt modified driver of all time?
I'm probably going to have to lean towards Stu Friesen.
Okay.
Stu, I've definitely feel like Stu's probably one of the best drivers in our era, especially from our area, because he can run multiple divisions. He can jump in a sprint car, he can jump in a truck, he can wheel just about anything. And back in the day when he used to come down and put me in chokeholds and we'd fight back and forth in the pits at Brewerton. He won a lot of big races with zero financial support. I mean, it was cars. It was this guy's car, this guy's engine, this guy's crew guy, his tire guy, and put it all together and whoop our ass at Dirt Week. 2 years of just kind of hodgepodge teams together. And, he's a wheelman. Like I've got all the respect for Stu. He's definitely been a huge part of our sport, and seeing him do as good as he is in the truck stuff, it sheds light on our little Northeast modified racing division.
Mm-hmm. All right. Kim Updike asks, it seems like every team is having a hard time finding crew guys, even for weekly competition and maintenance. How long did it take you to find the crew you have now?
So Cole Cobb, he's been with me for 4 or 5 years now. And that was just mutual friends. We met him. He was helping Ben Bushaw banjo, and they were friends with the Hiles. So we all started kind of hanging out, parking next to each other, and got to know Cole. And then he started coming to some series races with me, and he sold his car business. So he was partners with a guy, sold his half. And then he just started helping me for a year or so, kind of didn't know what he wanted to do, and had some extra cash from selling out, and then offered him a full-time job to help me out, because at that time I just lost the guy that was helping me. So I was doing everything at night after work till 2-3 in the morning, then get up at 6 in the morning, go to work, and I was just burning myself out. So he started coming up and helping me. And then Jake Petrovich, I mean, I've known Jake since he was 3 years old, probably since he was born, really. And when I was a kid, I grew up working on his family's dairy farm for 4 years or so.
Milking cows?
Oh, yeah. Milking cows, shoveling shit, driving tractors, you name it. I did it. It was kind of just that I was like 10 till I was 14, working on that dairy farm, in between working at the truck shop and go-kart racing and working on Pat Ward's car, kind of just bounced around, and I couldn't sit still when I was that age. So I had to be busy doing something. So, Jake went to HBR there when Max was up here for a little bit, and then he came back. And so now we've had the same guys for 4 years now. And, it's, we're family. It's hard for me to yell at them or tell them they need to do something, because it's like yelling at my brothers and we're going to start fist fighting or something. But Brooke calls them that's her work husbands, and I'm her husband that shows up every once in a while.
All right, next question from Dom Simpson. This is for both Matt and Larry. Would reducing the Super Dirt Car Series schedule, say, by a third while increasing race payouts be a more realistic option today? Many teams are struggling to secure sponsorship, and the overall cost required to compete full-time on the tour has become a major challenge for nearly every team. So what's your thoughts on that, guys?
I'll let you answer first.
I don't know if cutting the races would really work. I mean, we'd all love bigger payouts, but until the Dirt Series starts, you know, like I've been very vocal about the Dirt Vision deal. Until they start bringing some of that Dirt Vision money into the purse to offset the cost of racing alone, I mean, we haven't really seen any big hikes and payouts in years. You know, $1,000 here, $1,000 there. Is, you know, we're grateful for any increase, but you look at back in the 80s and 90s, and you know, Dirt Week used to pay $100,000 with, it was 50,000 cash and then 50,000 of a trailer, fuel, tires. You know, it was all sorts of stuff, and the sponsorship was a lot better back then for all the race cars, all the teams. And I felt like Glenn did a lot better job to grab a sponsor, introduce them to a team, and say, you're sponsoring this team for the next 3 years because they need to run my series. And now it's kind of, you know, they'll give you a brochure to help go talk to people, but you know, it's a tough deal. You know, we know what the numbers are for Dirt Vision. We know the World of Outlaw sprint car guys get a cut of it, the late model guys get a cut of it, and then the Super Dirt Car guys, we just sit here and get absolutely nothing. And you know, if they could offset the purse by 30%, that would be more lucrative for tracks to put a race on instead of going to Weedsport 4 times, going to Canandaigua 3 times. You know, that just takes the nostalgia of the show right away when, we missed it this time, but they'll be here in 2 months, so we'll go to that race. You know, it used to be when there was a race at Brewerton, it was standing room only. There was a race at Fulton, it was standing room only because those guys only showed up once a year. You know, it was an event, where now it's kind of just muddied up, and you know, it's disheartening that we got to go to Ohio and drive right past Port Royal, Lernerville, you know, all these PA tracks that are very well known in the dirt community, but we're not allowed to race there because there's bad blood with dirt car over a sprint car race or something like that. You know, and then, you know, the competition of the short track super series, you know, heaven forbid we go to a track that Dale might have had a race at, like, who cares? You know, the World of Outlaws and Lucas Oil guys, they race at the same tracks. You know, there's no animosity there. It's everyone's trying to put on a show, and you know, it's whoever puts on the best show is going to come out on top. So I don't think shortening the series is going to work. I think that would deter your sponsorship for some of the guys where it's expected they have so many televised shows, because that's what it's coming to. And increasing the purse, that's going to cut the shows because tracks aren't going to have us.
Yeah, I think I can kind of piggyback off of what you said. You know, I think you know, we're kind of in a mix of like all the divisions up here in the Northeast, like as far as sprint cars and late models and UMPs. You know, you heard Stu a couple weeks ago talk about, you know, RPay versus, you know, maybe like a UMP. You know, those guys race for $1,500 and a hot dog at the end of the night if they're lucky. You know, so for him to, you know, shed that light a little bit to make us aware, like, hey, it's not so bad. I totally agree. It can always be more. Obviously, we all want it to be more, but I do see that end of things, and we're like I said, a mix of like a regional / tour little corner up here. So it's like you mix the weekend guys with the series guys. Obviously, there's way more weekend guys than there are series guys, but you know, I'm kind of with you. I don't think shortening it is like the just a quick and easy fix. I think there's a lot more to that than just shortening a series.
All right. Next topic here as we work through our fan questions. Hannah Oderkirk asked, any thoughts on racing the Fonda 200?
None whatsoever, because I hate Fonda. Me and Fonda don't get along. I have tore up a lot of stuff there.
It's a little hairy on the top. I can give you that. Yeah.
Like
I want
either it's checkers or wreckers.
Yeah. I want to say Jack Johnson said, if you want to be fast at Fonda, you have to be willing to bin a race car. Like you have to be willing to junk it, and you just got to know that that's a possibility, but you're going to be fast right up until you do.
Yeah, you don't usually get into light wrecks at Fonda. It's either just a flat tire or you're coming off on the wrecker and you're swapping chassis the next day.
Yeah. Yep. So DTD writer Kenny Bruce asked, will Larry be doing any sprint car racing this year?
We're up in the air about it. With everything that's changed, I'm actually toying with the idea of selling the sprint car operation.
Oh, come on, man. I'm losing hope now.
I've always had guys offer me to run their car and stuff. So, I think I could jump in Jason's car if I needed to, or Paulie Cole Giovanni's. They've all got great equipment, same cars I'm running. Mm-hmm. So I've been toying with the idea of selling everything off purely just to focus on what we're doing.
I don't think you're allowed,
the engine shop and everything.
Put the one, Eric, yeah, Cody Decker, put the one before that. Yeah, there's the wife's response. No. Well, I guess that's settled.
Yeah, she's not a proponent of that.
Look, we still have to get you to Knoxville, man. Remember, we had talks about this.
Yeah.
Man. Well, let me make sure I didn't miss anything here for you, Larry. We appreciate you coming on, man. This was a great chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kept you a little long here, but we got your schedule down. We got motors you're running. We had Mitch Bard made a comment how he's struggling to find sponsorship. He's running his first year in a 358. Said had some doubts about it, but you're struggling to kind of do the same thing with the sponsorship side of things. So it's just the kind of the world we're in. I mean, I think that's everybody, right? I mean, even Matt Shepard was relieved when he got the IHRA deal, because he was saying, I had some talks with a bunch of people, but just getting something done wasn't coming together.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what happens, especially when you go to, the bigger businesses. It's not the handshake, checks in the mail, glad to partner with you. You got to put it through the advertising department. It's got to go through this person, so it makes sense on their end. So it's, the guys, the John Whites of back in the day, where he just wanted a 3-car team. And when the Red Haulers showed up, everyone was scared. The Chris Hallmar Chris with Hallmar, just has an absolute passion for racing. Those guys aren't around anymore. I remember as a kid, every single quarter panel of anyone following the series was a major sponsor. Budweiser, Skoll, Wheels. It just went on and on. You didn't see anyone without a major sponsor. I think that all kind of died with when Advance Auto pulled out of our sport. That was kind of the heyday of racing. Mm-hmm. And then to take a guy that's starting out or doesn't have a name for himself, it's 100 times harder, for, Matt Shepard's having a hard time getting sponsorship. The guy's by far one of the best modified guys of our era, and he's having a tough time. So it's just the way of the world. Things have changed drastically in the last 6 years. And, we just got to figure out how to navigate the waters, and hopefully things turn around, and, the economy's got to come back, so people have a little bit of that extra money of they got to get rid of it so they don't pay taxes on it, and hopefully they put it into racing.
Yeah. Herb Wright asked, seriously, as a racer, what do you think puts on a better show for the fans? Time trials or draw or redraw? And I'll let you guys answer this one. This is for the racers.
I think for the fans, the draw can go either way. You get a good draw, you start up front, and you put on a snooze fest. I think the time trials are better for the racer side of things, to where it bridges that gap of the guys that are fast and the guys that are the weekend warriors. They don't quite have their stuff together. And it alleviates a lot of those, I know in the draw shows back in the ROC days, you'd get the guy that just started racing 3 weeks ago. You have an early season big race. He starts on the pole, spins going into turn one, and collects everybody in.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of stops that. And then I do like the invert, because I think that puts a show on for the fans. The fast guy isn't just starting on the pole, running away with it.
Mm-hmm.
You do an invert. You put a little bit more of a race into it. I just think that if you're going to do an invert, you either have to go to a passing point format, like where they invert 6, some big number. You got to have something that lets that guy at least get his time back, or he is going to get back into the redraw. Because, we go to some tracks where you start 6, you're not passing anyone in a heat race. It's single file. Georgetown is a perfect example of, we would go there and it would be one lane of slop for the first 3-4 heat races before the track widened out. So if there was a big invert and they were only taking 2 to the redraw, you're screwed. You went out and set fast time for nothing. So I think there has to be that give and take, track dependent. But the redraw, I do see where it was nice that the Super Dirt Car Series kind of backed it up to 8-car redraws, because if it's a 12-car redraw at some of the shorter races, it really is hard to pass 12 of the best guys if you draw 12.
Right.
And you put yourself in a good position to start ahead of them, and then you get handicapped on a redraw. So I see both sides of it, from the fan and the driver, but at the end of the day, we got to put a show on for the fans. So the redraw definitely does that. The Lucas guys, they don't do any redraws. They just pretty much line up heads up, depending on how they have their group set up. And I think that kind of produces boring racing. You don't see a lot of guys coming up through winning races much. And so, like, the redraw definitely needs to be there, but I think we could make more of a race out of the heat races by doing inverts to try and just mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, again, and I think handicapping goes along with that. I don't think handicapping's bad. A lot of the comments have been handicapping is good, which I think you would agree. Weekly racing,
weekly racing, handicapping is the only way to do it.
Yeah, I think handicap's the only way you can do it with the weekly stuff.
Yep. I know tracks like back in the day, Weedsport, before Al bought it, they were doing draw every week. So you'd have guys showing up, not showing up, and it didn't really matter because it was draw. You didn't gain any cars. Like, you'd lose 4 guys and 4 new guys would show up. So the car count never changed.
Mm-hmm.
But it puts all the speculations. Shepard starts on the front row of his heat 3 weeks in a row. Oh, he's got a chip in his pocket. He's got this. He's got, well, he just got lucky 3 weeks in a row. But it just puts that speculation in there that there's enough whining and crying in the pits at the racetrack. We don't need any more reasons.
No way. You guys are all pleasant. Nobody whines. Nobody cries.
Yeah. Handicapping is a must on weekly racing.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing to track. I mean, if you're good, I don't know. I don't really see any way of going against the handicapping.
Yeah, I mean, as Steve Ovens mentioned, like it's still a show, right, for the fans. It's still a show. We still have to get fans to buy tickets to show up for the race. And if it's boring, why would I buy a ticket for the race? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, yeah. Now here's an interesting question. Now I'm going to be able to kind of comment on this too. It says, do you think Joe Fay says, do you think tracks should be more public about what money is coming in and just say, listen, this is what we brought in profit-wise, and the payout will be 10% or whatever percent they want to do. Now, Joey, I'm going to tell you one thing. If it was 10% of the profit, there are some tracks not paying the drivers anything. just to be fair, because it is not the $1 million maker that everybody thinks it is. And I think, Larry, let's kind of give, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, on a normal weekly night at Brewerton and Fulton, we're breaking even. Like that, that's just the way it is. You get 400 to 500 guys or people in the stands. We let kids in free because if we didn't let them in free, then their parents wouldn't come. It's purely to get them in the gate. Hopefully their parents buy a couple beers, the kids have some hot dogs and sodas, and they get to watch the races. So, it was the weekly racing. If you can come out 5% profit on it, that is a phenomenal week. And that's the big races that that's where you make your money at. The Outlaw 200, that's where we hope to turn a profit for the year. The Hurricane 100 used to be that race for us, and now we lost that just with everything changing around with Dirt Week. So it's, tracks aren't making a lot of money, especially up here in the Northeast, and that's purely because we have so much competition. You go out in Illinois and it's 5 hours in between tracks. You come here in Central New York, there's 9 tracks within an hour and a half of Fulton, New York. So it's hard competition to get fans and car counts.
I always thought that the kid, getting the kids in free, like you said, hopefully they're bringing their brother or sister that might not know, what it is yet, or the parents that are going in and getting food and beer. Like, obviously they're the future of racing. You got to create the fans when they're young, and the only opportunity for tracks to make money isn't at the gate. You know what I mean? So I think definitely, I think that's the right thing to do. I'm not a track owner, but just my opinion, just having them kids get in for free or even just at a lesser cost.
Yeah, and I'm a huge proponent for shorter races. The 100-lap races, yes, our diehard dirt race fans that have been coming since the Bob McCready days, they want 100 laps. That's what they want. That's what they grew up with. That's a real series race. Unfortunately, the TikTok generation that we're trying to get interested in racing, they lost interest.
They turned it off at lap 40.
Yeah, like they're sleeping in the stands lap 50. Like they don't want to sit there, and they're gonna bug their dad, bug their mom. I want to go home. I want to go home. This is boring, and then they quit coming. So, that's where I feel the shorter races, they help on both sides. Like we talked about purses and less races. Well, if the races are shorter, we're burning less fuel. We're not putting as many laps on our engines. I figure my big block, it's $100 a lap because I got to rebuild it at 15 to 1,800 laps, and it's $15,000 to rebuild that engine. So it's $100 a lap. So if we can cut half the laps out of the series over the course of the year, that might be one less rebuild for a team to get through that season. So it's all dollars and cents, and that's what we got to do now. We're tracking everything, every gallon of fuel, every tire. Try to get that tire through another heat race at a weekly race because you don't need that fresh rubber. So it's definitely getting to the nitty gritty.
Jamie Weekneck chimed in, getting back to one of the topics we were on before. 360 Knoxville Nationals is August 6th through the 8th. Then you can hit Mansfield and Sharon on the way home on August 11th, 12th. It's set up perfectly for the 99-0.
Yeah. I definitely need a little bit more smoke to go to Knoxville. My Brewerton engine ain't going to cut it there.
Not going to get it done out there. Not going to get it done out there. We had some other people mentioning some things here. Adam Buchanan, the voice of Brewerton, asked if you could promote one show, what would it be? Divisions, laps, track.
I would probably take Fulton because I feel like that has the best layout where there's not a bad seat. You can see the track from any angle you're at. And I would do a 3-day show where the first 2 nights are prelims. Those prelims line you the top 24 cars for
split prelims
the final night. Nope, it's prelims, race your way in, run the feature. Your combined points lock in the top 24 cars, and then
This
race.
sounds really similar to a Knoxville format. Just saying.
Yes. And that's like I try to get Dirt Week this way, and they want nothing to do with it, but run sportsmen with the big blocks on Thursday, small blocks with the big blocks on Friday, and then Saturday, maybe you have another division, crate late models or 360 sprint cars, but the modifieds are only going to run a C main if needed, a B main, and then that fills the back of the class or back of the field, and you have a 100-lap race for $25,000 to win.
I like it. I'm a 3-day show guy.
This year's Fulton 200 layout or format.
If Larry's running it is.
Yeah, I'm all about the prelim deal. Have a couple nights of just hard racing, night in, night out.
Brooke said she's booking the hotel now. If you're wondering, that was her comment. So. George Smith asks, "What's the secret to Wendell's clay?"
Oh, it's whatever's in the water down there.
Have you heard what? I don't know if this is true or not, but did you hear about the whole peanut oil thing down there?
Oh yeah, that's all they use on like all the construction roads and everything. They use it a lot out west. They spray peanut oil or soybean oil down on the roads. I don't think that's it, because I've raced on tracks where they've done that before, and that's a completely different feel. When it's wet, there's 100% traction, and then as soon as it shines up, it's like you're on glass. That stuff down there, it's like you never have 100% traction. It's kind of like 50% at best, and just whoever can get the car tight enough to come off the corner but still turn in is the secret down there. I think it's just it's a mix of red clay and sand in it.
Yeah, it's goofy. You get it, like you look at it and you're like, oh wow, brown, let's get down to that. That'll be traction. And then you hit slime and you can't even spell throttle before you get back into it.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I don't think he's putting anything crazy on it. A couple of years ago, I think he was trying to put like some soap or something into it, because the tires would come off like blue. Like they just had like Dawn dish liquid all over them.
People thought you were exaggerating until you took a picture, and then you had like a dirt ring with blue outline all the way around your tire.
Yeah,
and all the dirt coming off it.
Yep.
Joe Nappy Racing 55 said, "Should tracks make ticket prices the same as, say, a local movie theater? Do you think drawing more people at a lesser gate cost helps make more money on concessions?" I think tracks are cheaper than the movies now. I mean, if you go to the movie for me here in Syracuse, it's $18-20 to get in. I think the Brewerton's what, 15 on a weekly show, so I think it's cheaper, and the kids get in free.
And the concession, like, that's a huge topic. Everyone complaining the concession prices are too high. And what people don't understand is, like, we can't compete with McDonald's prices because they're selling 20,000 burgers a week. We get to sell 600 burgers a week. So our purchasing power isn't there. Luckily we have 2 tracks, so we can get a little bit better pricing. But, we don't move enough volume to get good pricing to pass on to our fans. And, if they saw what we were paying and what we're charging, again, it's maybe a 10.
The margins that, markup. The margins are thin. Yeah, food. I don't think people realize how much food has gone up for racetracks, like exponentially the last few years. Well, Larry, I think we've had you for an hour, man. We appreciate it. This has been awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I do want to give you, if you got any thoughts or sponsors, any folks you want to thank before we let you go, now's your time, man. The floor is yours.
I appreciate you guys. And, I got to thank all my employees at Big Red Towing, Gypsum Wholesalers, Gypsum Express, my father for we just hit 50 years at Gypsum Wholesalers that he's been since he started that. And, without everything he's done, I wouldn't have this opportunity to be here talking with you guys, or the memories and everything I've had over the last 20 years of big block racing. And, without him giving me the opportunities to run these already successful companies, and the opportunity to be involved in racing and everything he's done for the sport, buying the 2 tracks when they were going to go under in turning to housing developments. I can't thank my crew enough. Jake and Cole sticking it out with the bad years, and hopefully they're behind us so we can truck forward with the good years. And my wife and kids for all their support. They deal with me when I'm happy in victory lane, and they deal with me when I'm pissed off in the hauler. So they get both sides of it. And everyone that was helping us down in Volusia, Kurt Weigel with Winners Products, he was with us just about every night, giving us a hand. Dave Reedy was changing a battery in my car at Alltech when that went bad. And Butch Getz coming down, hanging out with us at Volusia. Just great people we've met over the years that in a moment's notice, they'd jump in and start spinning wrenches any way to help us. And, it's been a good ride, and can't do it without the sponsors. Jammers Sports Bar and Grill right here in Syracuse, United Auto, Tracy Road Equipment, been a long time supporter with us. Verde Storage Containers, Syracuse Haulers, Rocky. He's a nut for this stuff. He loves doing it. Everyone at Penske Shocks, Winners Products, our new engine shop, WLR Performance Engines, Bob Henry's headers, those things. I think we were his first car he ever bolted them on. So it's pretty cool to see what he's really grown that thing into, doing sprint cars and late models and UMPs now. And and it just to let everyone know we're still here. We're plugging forward. We're trying to open up some more avenues to bring some business into the shop, whether it's engines, scaling cars, shock rebuilds, track consulting. If we got to help someone out, rent one of the tracks out and take them down there for the day and help get them in the right direction of how to work on these things. And, it's something we got to kind of reinvent the wheel on our end, and we're going to try to do it in the best of our ability.
Oh, man. Well, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. You have a great rest of your night. And again, just, if you need me to talk to Brooke about going to Knoxville, I'll work on it for you. I've tried before. I can help.
Alrighty.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. We appreciate you being on. We'll let you go. Have a great night.
See you later.
Thank you, guys.
So there's Larry Wight. Again, we appreciate him stepping up here, chatting with us. Man, that was an hour. We went over an hour. Mm-hmm. Great, well-spoken again. A lot of folks thanking Larry for being, answering the questions, explaining things, and doing things like that. So, again, big thanks to Larry. Oh, boy. We've got Neil on line one. Is that what I'm hearing? Eric? Oh boy. Neil from New Jersey on line one coming in.
Wait. Well, first minivan, Matt, how's the baby?
Baby's great. Baby's great.
Are you any sleep, any nights where you've been able to sleep, or are you still kind of every 3 hours you're waking up?
No, she's still, figuring out her schedule. It's getting better day by day, but last night she slept 8 hours, which is, by the sounds of it, is pretty unusual for a 2-week-old. So, yeah, hopefully she sticks with that.
Good stuff. I got to say the Larry Wight interview was awesome, and I will buy a set of tires if he decides to go to Knoxville and run the 360 National.
Okay, all right. So if he's still listening. Yeah, so if Brooke's listening, there's zero chance that Brooke is letting this happen. You know that, right? We had the discussion. We had plenty of discussions at the 31st lap at Eastern States over Larry running a sprint car at Knoxville. Those did not go well, but I tried. So, I'm not giving up.
All right. Yeah. So here's my question to you, Mallett.
Okay.
Is it more disappointing for Jack Hughes? Is it more disappointing for Jack Hughes to go back to the Devils, or for you to leave the Knoxville Nationals and go to Brewerton for Summerfest?
that is.
I think he needs to be at Summerfest.
Look, and no offense to any track I go to after Knoxville, for about 2 weeks, everything I do is a letdown. Like have
you been to Summerfest yet, or have you just completely avoided it to go to Knoxville?
No, I've been to every Summerfest. When I get home from Knoxville, I go to all the races of Summerfest. So yeah, so I've done both. It's just the hard part is you drive all night, all day to get home from Knoxville, and you get home.
You're not
And you're
allowed to
like,
complain about that because you were just busting on the young guys you were with about not
Yeah.
doing the Hendry County deal last week.
Yeah, look, I do it, and I still go to the races. I don't pansy out, so I don't want to hear it. Okay, I go to the races. So I get home. We leave out there in the morning, drive all day. Get all the way back here. We usually go to a race on the way home from Knoxville on Sunday night, and we get home at 3, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I sleep a few hours, and then I go to Brewerton.
I think Neil's trying to get you to do this too, but I don't think he's capable of doing it. He's the only one that I know that can fall asleep in the loudest bar in America.
Oh, is he still there?
It wasn't that loud, and it wasn't that loud.
It was
very warm.
If you're gonna be willing to put up the minivan picture on here, I ought to put the picture of you snoring with snot bubbles coming out of your mouth.
Talking to me?
Oh God!
Yeah.
Oh, that's too good. Hey, buddy. Poor Neil. Oh God, I do go. Adam Buchanan says it right. Yeah, he goes every year, but I am grumpy. Like I'm on no sleep, and I'm back for 4 nights of modified racing, and I don't hate modified racing. So, all right. Question from the producer. Put it in. If I'm going to bringing the family to New York for a long weekend, and I want to catch a race sometime during that weekend, where am I going to go? There's 2 areas of this state you want to go to see a lot of races. You could do Capital District. You could get Albany, Saratoga, Lebanon Valley. You can come to Central New York and get about 25 different places. You can get Brewerton, Fulton, Utica Rome races. You got Canandaigua an hour west. You got Thunder an hour south. You go an hour north. You got Can-Am. I think there's a lot of different places in this state to see a lot of good racing. I think that's what's awesome about New York. That's the good and the bad of New York. Every weekend you can get a lot of racing in, but you also, have a lot of competition for racetracks, and cars and all those different things. So that's definitely that.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
Buchanan going for Brewerton.
No kidding. Adam Buchanan wants to go to Brewerton. He's such a homer. God, he's a homer.
You got to stop making fun of people for being a homer. You're like the most Knoxville guy from 1,000 miles away that I've ever seen.
But I'm not a homer. You can say things about Knoxville, and I'm not going to get mad at you. I say something bad about Brewerton one night. Adam has a meltdown. I got to go to a bottle, and I'll have to borrow the binky you got for your daughter.
You're so good at turning things on other people.
That's why I'm a good debater. What can I tell you? Couple of news notes. Let's actually talk about modified racing. A couple of news things. We did see Pouch Jr. Announced his schedule. Kind of different schedule for him. Kind of picking and choosing without New Egypt racing this year. Going to be in 3 cars. He's going to run his own car, the Weinstein 14, and the Palmer 76. And I thought one of the interesting things with the Palmer car is he did mention Summerfest as being on his schedule, so making it up to Summerfest. And then they're going to run the Georgetown shows, and then the Short Track Super Series South region there. Other news, Jeff Strunk has a ride. I don't know if you saw that. Kenny Bruce talked to Jeff Strunk. He's running a 3-car or three-owner effort. Danny Heber, Keith Hoffman, and Todd Bear from Aqueduct Water Transport putting a team together. If you were wondering what's happening, they're having a press conference on March 7th to announce the car and all those other things at Hoffman Speed Supply. Okay, so if you're looking for that, looking RLM Motorsports, Tyler Meeks, basically looks like the team's done racing. Tyler wanted to quit racing, and that's it. They're done. And it's always hard to see teams leave this sport because there's not a lot of teams in this sport. I mean, we look at it, yeah, there's a lot of teams, but when you start taking guys away from like weekly racetracks, that hurts the weekly racetrack. Like our big shows are still good, right? Like small block series races, big block series races, those kind of things are still getting cars. But the weekly track, you lose a couple of cars, that definitely hurts that weekly track.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I've seen there was an interview I watched last week where a car owner who was a big sponsor with other people said that, a lot of the people that get out, that still like racing, instead of owning the car or want, they go because they sponsor a car. So that might be an avenue that guy chooses, or anybody in general that, wants to be involved in racing that doesn't want the work involved of owning the car and taking care of it, but instead, showing up and having, support with somebody. So.
Yep.
I thought that was kind of a little cool to overlap there, so I felt like I needed to mention it.
Yeah, no, that's a good overlap. The Thunder Mountain schedule is officially published. So for those of you Thunder Mountain fans that watch us, a couple different dates on the schedule. Added some races to the end of the year. There is a race now on September 26th. They have an enduro in September. A little bit more racing in September. So if you want to check that out, that's again on Thunder Mountain. It's thundermtnspeedway.net. So that schedule is out. And I did want to make sure I mentioned for my good buddy Jeremy Corcoran that we do have the Syracuse Motorsports Expo, which Matt will be at. So bring your minivan Matt cards so you can sign autographs at the show.
I blame you for this. We almost went a whole show without it.
There was no way that was going to happen, right? Like, I thought about today when I put the ad up for Monday Night Modifieds to use the minivan bat character that we had. That was almost what I used. But again, the Syracuse Motorsports Expo is March 14th and 15th. So be ready for that. It's at the Syracuse Fairgrounds, the Center of Progress building. That'll be a good time. Jamie Weekdeck, the ROM number 9 team, won a lot of races with Billy Dunn. Yeah, that was. They were together, hoping that they reconsider and put something in that car. Yeah, me too. Again, I never want to see a car owner go away. That's the hard part. That's a tough thing. All right, so that's my notebook. You got anything this week, Matt? That we went so long with Larry, we're kind of already pushing our time here.
Yeah, no, I think we covered everything that that was news in the mod world, and had a pretty good chat with Larry there. So.
And I got to be honest, I'm proud of you. You asked a lot of questions this week.
I tried. I think, you're a little sick, so I feel like, you might be a little bit behind the 8 ball or, under the weather, and you didn't want to speak up as much.
I am definitely not feeling 100%. I got a cold about Thursday of last week, and I've been dragging some ass this week so far. And it's only Monday, which ain't good, but I'm impressed this week. You impressed me with your questions.
Yeah, TV dinner and freezing are probably impressed with you that you let me sleep.
See, now you don't want us using your phone nickname, but you're going to use poor TVDs.
That's a great one. That's not insulting.
Minivan Matt is a great one.
I don't own a minivan.
Well, I think that's a wrap. What do you think, Eric? You think we covered everything? Oh, wait. Did you have a question from the beginning of the show? Can you get it in there? Put producer Eric question in there, and I'll we had a question about Cindy on Jeremy Elliott's podcast or Monday or live show that he does on Tuesday nights. What time's that on? 7:30? 8 o'clock? 7:30? 7:30. So Glenn Donnelly came up with dustless clay and used it at Rolling Wheels. Whatever happened to that? It went away.
Yeah. Didn't they put it on? I know Larry's not.
Yes.
But didn't they put it on?
We should have asked Larry. Yeah. Yes, they put it on Brewerton first, and then they put it on Rolling Wheels.
Yeah,
and it was a great effort to get rid of dust. I don't think it did what it was supposed to do.
What did they add to it?
It was like, I want to say they used some kind of polymer or like to make the clay heavier, like what they use on horse tracks to try to keep the dust down. And it just didn't work as designed with race cars. Like, obviously horse racing and car racing are way different. So, it just wasn't, yeah, Jamie Weakness, the dustless dirt was dusty. Yeah. That was what I was saying while saying it the straightforward way. Yeah, it wasn't dustless. It was definitely did not work. And it's unfortunate. It was a great theory because we know one of the reasons why people don't want to go to a dirt track is because you did dirty. So it was a great theory, but yeah, it just didn't work. It just didn't work.
Yeah, the 2 or 3 tracks that Billy Decker always said you'd see females at were Weedsport, Fulton, and Brewerton. Pretty much the cleanest tracks you can go to.
Yeah, right. If you're not getting dusty, women will go to those racetracks, right? And again, we're not being sexist here. It's just I've heard it from girlfriends for the last 30 years when I've had them, which has been sporadic at best. But if it's dirty, you don't want to go and sit there and get filthy and dirt all over everything, etc. And if the bathrooms are gross, you don't want to go in the bathroom, right? We kind of hashed it out on a prior show. But I think that'll do for this week. Again, big thanks to Larry Wight for stopping by. Matt, you got any final thoughts before I do wrap it up? I want to make sure I'm giving you your turn to speak here. I don't want to cut you off.
Go ahead and do your Disney Channel thing.
Oh, it's not Disney Channel, man. Hey, and Eric mentioned that we should do a driver of the week. I don't know if we can steal the driver of the week award, from Dirt Vision or from This Week on Dirt, but we got to come up with something. So maybe the fans can help us this week with something, a special award we can do every week or whatever, because again, I love This Week on Dirt. Eric, he went back and watched them. He gave me the thumbs up. He sent me the text, he went back and watched the old one. So they were good. So, all right, Matty, it's been fun, buddy.
Go ahead, sign us off.
All right, let's sign us off. So for producer Eric Schneck, for my co-host Matt Smith, this is Mike Mallett saying so long for now.